Joining us now is a man who has a fight on August 20th for the welterweight championship, in which he is the owner of. The last time he was on this show, the power went out because of how electrifying he was while describing his walk to the octagon. He'll be fighting a man who's younger than him and taller than him August 20th, but I don't think anybody is betting against our guest. Ladies and gentlemen, Kamaru Usman.
Yeah!
What's up, man?
Thanks, Pat. Thank you. I appreciate it. And I love how you stand up, too, when you when you introduce me. I love it.
Well, I get excited, because some people get small in that moment. I become a giant, whenever I'm going to talk on you.
I see.
Hey, that promo
I see what you did there.
Yeah, the promo you cut on this show was one of the greatest fucking things I've ever heard, describing your mentality and your emotions while walking to a cage. It was so good. It literally shut down power in this whole block. So we apologize for that the last time.
Oh no, it's all good. I'm just I'm happy for you guys. I'm glad your building didn't burn down, with that fire.
Could you imagine if we did? Oh, could you
Thought it was
imagine?
gonna happen.
It was a little scary. I mean, we got a little high off the cooking of the electronics that were on fire right here, about 10 feet away. But we're happy you're back. You're in the middle of camp right now. How far into camp are we? Are you always in shape? Is there any drastic changes? And how does the body feel right now, champ?
Well, for lack of better words, I would say we're probably balls deep in the camp right now,
oh, yeah.
and we're deep in there. And we've got a couple weeks at August 20th, so that's less than 4 weeks away. At this point, the body is. Today, I really felt it. I'm glad you asked that. Today, my body really felt like shit. Let's get this over with. It's about time to go scrap and go home and eat some food.
Oh, that's awesome.
Hey, I've heard you talk about how much knee pain and knee issues you have that you a lot of times aren't even able to run before fights. Is it still that way, or do you see it ever? Is there anything you can do to make that feel a little bit better?
Yeah, first and foremost, I want to say, last time we didn't get to really interact as much. Pat was stealing all the questions, and he's still all the time. But I say I want to. Obviously, hopefully you get to ask a lot more questions this time, Pat.
Oh, jeez.
Relax.
Was it a bad interview, Kamaru? You're welcome. Jeez.
No, it wasn't bad. It was a great interview. Great. That just goes to test of the greatness that's on this show. So,
oh, yeah.
I see all the greatness that's here. But to answer your question, no, the knees are feeling a lot better. I've got some really good PTs, physical therapists that are doing some different exercises now that's really starting to open up some of the things in that joint to where I'm able to use both my legs now. I'm still not running. We can just, that's for the birds. I'm done with that. If I could still get the conditioning that I need in order to stay at the top and not necessarily have to run, I love it. But right now we're trying some different methods on the physical therapy, and my knee's doing a lot better. So those knee pains are a lot less severe now.
I don't know how many questions AJ is going to get, but I do know he has two bad knees, as do I. You're looking at this is a bad knee crew here. What do you do instead of running? Because running is a nightmare. Running downhill, biggest nightmare of all time. What do you do instead to keep the cardio up? Is it just fighting?
Yeah, I would say mainly fighting, but everything that I do as far as training, we try to implement some way to where I'm able to get my body into that red zone. So a lot of people, they think shape is just going outside and running, and as long as I can run a mile in such a good time, I'm in shape. No, that's not necessarily true. For what we do, shape is based on how you can grapple, stand up, throw punches, and get back into grappling, how you're able to recover in the midst of those transitions. That's really where that shape is. Old timers, when your grandpa walks by you and he wants to show you that he still got it and he used to wrestle. That's what Pat just did, that movement right there.
Boom.
Hey, are you really going to go up to 205? You going to skip 185 and just go up there to 205 and dominate everybody? Is that the plan?
It's crazy that people think that I'm joking when I said this. They really think that I'm joking. At the end of the day, one of the biggest things and one of the biggest quotes that I live by, and that's because I know it, I felt it myself. Fatigue makes cowards of everybody. It doesn't matter who you are. And so you could be at 205. Let's just say those guys are going to fatigue a lot faster than I will. And so, yeah, I definitely think I can hang with those guys. Now, let's be clear. Let's be honest. I'm not saying I'm going to run through everybody in the light heavyweight division. That's not true. That's not what I'm saying.
Kind of.
I just feel that the top. I just feel like the top 2, top 3 guys that's at the top of that division, I feel like I can beat.
So you can run.
You're running through everybody.
That's what I think. I mean,
And then you go on to heavyweight after that.
I'd recline.
Yeah. No. I'm good. I'm good on that.
What's everyday weight? What's everyday weight that you walk around at?
Right now, I've kind of got it down to where I'm staying around that 190. Some days I float below the 190, but I like to stay around that 190 because that's the good weight, my good threshold to where I still have a little bit of fat on me that I need to be able to get through those tough cardiovascular training days. So I've got some fats and I'm still high in muscle, but here in the next couple of weeks, we'll start to kind of get that off to where we make that cut right down to 170.
Isn't that like the biggest advantage though? Weight. That's why there is weight classes. Like going to 205 would be a massive jump for you, wouldn't it? Is there? You're just saying your body could handle the weight, and you think you'd be very comfortable up there? Because the guy you're fighting, for instance, Mr. Edwards here, he's taller than you and he's younger than you. But weight-wise, same. Isn't the weight the biggest thing? And that's why when you see some smaller fighters go up a level, they get bullied almost. That isn't something you think your body is meant to be heavier, and you don't think that'll be a bigger difference at all?
No, weight does make a difference. Let's be honest, because it's different when I'm if it's 170 pounds behind a straight right to the face. That's a lot different than 205 pounds behind that straight right to the face. So weight does make a difference. But at this level, it becomes a systematic approach. If I'm able to wear you out without taking that 230 pounds behind that punch to my face, and I'm able to wear you out, that 230 pounds is going to feel like 140 pounds. By the time we get into the later rounds. So, it's going to be a strategic. Of course, I'm not just going to go in there and try to just bang it out with the light heavyweight. No, pause. But I'm going to systematically go in there, and that's where me and my coaches are really going to have to put our brains together and come up with the master plan to be able to wear these guys out. But one of the biggest things that I want to show is, a lot of people say, oh, pound for pound. That's like they're just basically saying, okay, we think that if you were at that weight, you could potentially do something. Well, guess what? I want to show you that. I don't necessarily have to be at that weight. I can go up there and still dominate because I am the pound for pound champion. No one's ever done it. And I think that'll be a good stamp to put down on this sport by the time I walk away from it.
Obviously, you have a massive fight coming up, but it seems like you have thought about this pretty well. What time frame would that be, you think, to make that move? And is that a decision that you can make by yourself, or does Dana obviously have to come involved in that conversation? And how would the process shape there, being the champ at one class and then saying, I'm going to jump up 35 pounds? I mean, that's a big jump. Like, how does that whole thing work?
Yeah, it's a joint decision, so it's my decision and Dana as well, because I have to go to them and say, hey, Dana, that's what I want next. But it's one of those things that, like, of course I'm fighting Leon Edwards next, but I recognize that I'm fighting Leon Edwards. I don't take anything away from him. I know this is a tough one, and I'm fully focused on Leon Edwards. But at the same time, my life and my career, where I am now, has been a whole thought-out process. It's been a manifestation of what I've kind of put into place and what I've thought about in my head. So I think it, and I say I'm going to do it. Chances are, given the opportunity, I'm going to do it.
Let's go! Hell yeah. I love that. When I was punting balls for a living, if I had any thoughts other than punting balls, people are like, you should focus on punting balls. So you giving the whole, like, hey, I got a lot of respect for Leon Edwards. Okay, I'm training my fucking ass off. Let's not act. But there is moments in life where you get to think about things other than just one particular fight. I think we'd all be very excited to see you go improve that pound for pound badassness. Go ahead, Ty Schmidt.
Kamaru, last time you were on the show, you mentioned how, like the amount of stress and pressure you get when you've defended the title so many times. But when you start thinking about moving up, is that motivated by the fact that, like, you've cleaned out that division? Like, there really isn't anything else for you to prove. Like, would that be something where you would still bounce in between and go back and defend that? Or would you just, if you do move, would you vacate the title and just go kind of focus on light heavyweight?
I would absolutely. The craziest thing I think is to be able to bounce back and forth, and with the weight class in between, you're skipping over that weight class. I don't think anyone has ever done that, and I don't think anyone will for a long time. So if I'm given that opportunity, I 100% would like to do it. I think right now there's really no clear-cut number one contender in that welterweight division coming up next. So I would say, of course, if I'm able to get through Leon Edwards and then bounce up to 205 and get that strap, that'd be enough time for these guys to figure out, what they're doing here in that welterweight, for someone to be able to step up to show that they're the real number one contender for me to come back down. Because it's got to be worth my time now. Time is money. I'm not getting any younger, so it's got to be worth my time.
That's fucking awesome.
I know you beat Leon back, 2015? Does that have any impact on this fight?
Technically, no. And I said this before. Leon Edwards is saying, "Oh, he just watched the fight and this and that," and he sees that, he's gotten better technically in certain spots, and I've also gotten better in certain spots. But one thing that these guys don't understand is that I'm not fighting you technically. Of course, there's certain things that I need to watch out for with technically where you're good and where you're not so good. That's not necessarily how I fight guys. I fight your heart. I fight your head. I fight your heart right here. This doesn't lie. Your heart doesn't lie. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter how strong you are, how big you are, how tough you are. This is what I'm fighting. And I know that I can break him. I've done it before, and I will do it again.
Hey, you're a dog, huh? Always been a dog? Always just, the way you just said there, technically you can work on whatever. I'm going in there to take your fucking soul, pal. Like that. Have you always had that? Has that always been something? I know you're a national champion wrestler, obviously, and you've been great as champion and almost fucking an unstoppable force, pound for pound best fighter. Have you always been just an absolute dog? And when do you think you got that?
It's one of those things that you just kind of create it. And we can all attest to that. There's times when you're by yourself and you're in those fields and you're kicking balls by yourself in those fields, and you're learning where to place the ball, how to place the ball, and there's no one with you. It might not be a coach with you. It might just be you. It might just be you and the ball in the field, and you as well, just training. There's those moments to where you're just by yourself. These are moments to where you actually start to grow and build that dog. You build it. I don't need a coach next to me to tell me, all right, great job. You did great there. I don't need a teammate or a friend or mom and dad to be next to me and say, great job, and clap for you. No, this is the times that you spend by yourself, putting in those work, even when it's tough, even when it's hard. That's what builds that dog. And these guys don't understand what I've been through all through my life to get to a certain point where, hey, you could be as skillful as you want to be, but when it comes down to bite down and we're both tired, you're exhausted, I'm exhausted, chances are my dog and that lion inside me is a lot bigger than theirs.
Bro, you're fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I absolutely love you. I appreciate you stopping by. I wish you nothing but a continued and healthy camp and successful camp. Can't wait to watch in August, pal. You beat the hell out of a guy you've already beat, and then put on 35 pounds.
Let's go.
And just go on up and do it to somebody else. You're the best, man. We appreciate you.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you having me back on.
Did AJ get enough fucking questions?
Jeez Louise.
Is that all right?
AJ, okay. I think we balanced it out there. Good.
Ladies and gentlemen, the champ, pound for pound champ, Kamaru Usman.
All right.
Hey.
He's a monster.
Yes.
Bro.
He's so tough and so good. Like, watch it. I don't know how much you've seen him fight. Like, yeah, I think he's a superstar. I don't know if he's crossed over into mainstream as much as he should, but the guy is so good.
Well, he's hilarious. He's motivating. He's inspiring. And I love just 7 years ago, he's gotten technically better. So have I. So have I. But we have also had a meeting before, and you have experienced my fucking will. Mm-hmm. And I've experienced your will. And that is really all we should be talking about. Is basically what Usman just said there. That was all, that speech you just gave about when you're alone. Because people talk about it being pillow talk whenever you're in bed all by yourself at night and it's just you and your thoughts. What are you saying to yourself? Those workouts too. When you are all by yourself, you grow. It's that was fucking incredible. I love that guy. Yeah. I love that guy.
That's what gives you confidence. Those workouts by yourself, the stuff that you're doing, that nobody sees. You don't have to tell people and all of that. Like that's why you are confident stepping into that cage or doing whatever you're doing, because you put the work in.
When the lights are off and nobody's watching, the work you put in there will be seen by everybody as soon as the lights come on or something. There's like 100 different cliche speeches. What you do in the dark will come to the light. I think a lot of people take that as a negative, but I've heard it used as motivation before for whenever you're not around anybody, what you're doing there. We will learn quickly as soon as these lights come on what you've put in, what you've invested, and that's why you put an addendum in the contract to watch 4 hours of extra film.
That's exactly right.